Can everyone hear me?
You can turn it up a little bit.
Is this better? Sounds better, okay. Mr. Clerk, Mr. Deputy Clerk.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, folks. On behalf of the members of the Yonkers City Council, I want to welcome all of you to this beautiful Yonkers RiverFront Public Library. My name is Mike Ramondelli, and I am the Deputy City Clerk, and I will be presiding over tonight's Town Hall Forum. This evening, the entire City Council is present. Council President Keisha Collins-Bellamy, representing the 3rd Council District, Majority Leader Tasha Diaz, from the 2nd Council District, Councilmember Panita Isaac, and representing the 6th Council District, last but not least, Councilman Anthony Moranti. On behalf of all the City Council members, thank you for coming out this evening so that they may hear from you regarding the proposed legislation. As you can see, we have many speakers here this evening, so in the spirit of fairness and decorum, the council members have not yield his or her time to another speaker. Next, I will call out 2 names. The first is the person whose time it is to speak, and the following name is the person who's up. Please use the left center aisle to come down to the podium in front of the stage, and when finished with your comments, please exit through the right-hand side of the aisle alongside the wall. Please note, council members are here to listen only. They will not be responding to your comments and/or questions. We ask that you keep your comments to the proposed legislation that brought us here this evening. Please do not use your comments to wage personal attacks. Please be respectful to the other speakers. Therefore, we ask that there be no outbursts from the audience. Signs. Please note that signs and/or banners can obstruct the views of others in attendance. Therefore, they are prohibited here this evening. Please note that the front row is to remain empty. So as not to obstruct, but we do have five spaces for wheelchair accessibility. Again, thank you all for coming out tonight to be heard. Council President and council members. The first speaker, council member. Council President, council members. The first speaker here this evening is Keisha Skipper, followed by James Simmons.
I am reading this statement on behalf of Keisha Skipper. Good evening, council members. I intended to attend tonight's meeting with my 2 sons, Corey, who is 7 years old, and unfortunately not well enough to attend, and Kyle, who is 16. I moved to Yonkers when Kyle was just 2 months old, exactly 16 years ago last month. Many of you remember a young Kyle visiting City Hall, attending meetings, and speaking up on issues that impacted our family and community. For 16 years, I have convinced Kyle that we live in a democracy. A form of government that allows people to choose leadership. What you are proposing to do is the opposite of democracy. The proposed charter revision mirrors oligarchy, meaning a rule of the few, or even worse, a monarchy, where a person is the head of a state, or in this case, a head of a city. For life or abdication. 16 years may not seem like a lifetime for many of us, but for my son and many of our children in our schools, churches, and communities, 16 years is a lifetime. This will be what many of them remember long after we are gone. The city charter, like the Constitution, was created to protect certain rights and liberties, and most importantly, it was designed to protect democracy. If you truly believe in democracy and that in this revision of the charter to extend term limits to 16 years is the will of the people, then let the people decide. Don't allow yourselves to be victims of autocracy or perpetuate hypocrisy. I stand in opposition of the extension of term limits again and hope that you will do the same. Your support of one person or lack of support for another should not be a factor in your ability to legislate on behalf of the residents of our great city. Your personal opinions are not the only ones that matter. When you are elected, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the nation, the state, and the charter of the city of Yonkers. Where is your faithfulness and duty? Where is your support for our democracy? Kindly, Keisha Skipper.
Next speaker is James Simmons, followed by Diane Templeton with an I.
Hi, my name is James Simmons, and I spoke on this issue the last time it came up, I think about 4 years ago, and I supported this issue. And I support this issue today as well, leaving it for to extend the term. And one of the reasons why I did it last time was it was based on keeping the momentum of what was going on rather than, jobs and stuff like that. So I just wanted to clear the record and say that. So myself, I'm a diehard Yonkers. I'm from Yonkers. I'm from South Yonkers, right? So I grew up here. I went to school here. I swam in the Hudson River, played on the train track. So I'm not new here, right? So with that being said, I was also here when we had the struggle with integrating on different sides of Yonkers. And I actually marched with Al Sharpton. They didn't show that on the HDW. I was there as well, right? So with all that being said, the reason why I support this issue today is real simple. The mayor and this administration, along with people on this council, have supported low-income and workforce housing in the downtown area, throughout Yonkers, and Southwest Yonkers, and South Yonkers, okay? And have supported partnerships between developers and community-based organizations that have resulted in contracts of WMBE companies and the hiring of minority young men from Yonkers, specifically Southwest Yonkers. I want to make it clear that I stand here today as a citizen, not as a businessman, because I do operate for the business in Yonkers organization, but I'm here as a citizen, executing my right to identify. Thank you very much.
Next up is Diana Temple Brown, followed by Alpha and Cotty.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here today because I agree and I'm in favor for the fourth term of the mayor. I came here 42 years ago. I moved from Manhattan to Yonkers. I raised my kids here. I raised my grandchildren. And now I'm going to grow with my great-grandchildren. I don't know if anybody has seen how Yonkers looked 20 years ago, but it is definitely different, and it's more beautiful, and you can be proud to come up here to Yonkers now. When you come home, when your family my family would say, oh God, you wouldn't think it would look like that. But I say we should go and let him go for a full term. So let him complete the dream that he has. Because in order to do it,
followed by Dr. Amir Rabati.
Good evening, council members. Good evening, City of Yonkers residents. I moved here 21 years ago to the downtown and still continue to live in the downtown. Those of you who know me know that I've been dedicated to community service all 21 years. I've been required to intimately and intensely understand the needs of the community, many of which were underrepresented and underserved, the majority of who, like me, are people of color. As an Arab, as an Afro-Caribbean woman, it was a rarity to see people like me represented in the political workings. And now, four women of color, sit before us on City Council. That is important, and that is historic. And it happens with the support and the urging of our current mayor. Under his leadership, the quality of life has improved, and under his leadership, our city has benefited. I'm proud to be dedicated to a city whose government reflects the diverse tones of the people who live here. I support our mayor and his desire to run again for a fourth term. I trust the political process which will allow us. And I trust the City Council to deliberate with our best interests guiding them and according to the principles of democracy. Thank you.
Dr. Rabati, followed by Christina Santos Marquez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Rabati. I'm a proud citizen here of Yonkers, born and raised, matter of fact, right up the street at St. John's Hospital where I serve. And I have the pleasure of working with many of my council members at St. John's Hospital as their vice chief. I also serve as the chief medical physician here for the Yonkers Board of Education. And I started that position during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, as you all remember, in 2020. All of you have witnessed the destruction, the death and change that we are painfully reminded of to this day. This was not just in Yonkers, but obviously across the world. Basic medical supplies became a struggle to obtain. Many of our nurses, doctors, and staff did not have face guards, masks, and gloves to use. Some of us had to use the same masks over and over again. We looked for help, and many of you saw the response we got, and some of you didn't. So let me remind you all. Our city council members came to the rescue, dropping off supplies, hand sanitizers. Some of our council members even made homemade masks for us. Our mayor had N95 masks sent to both hospitals, St. Joe's and St. John's, ordering the state to send gowns and headgear. The mayor's office had FEMA, medical staff vehicles assisting us in ambulating our staff. I would be remiss not to thank everyone for that help, and will never, ever forget that. I also enjoyed all the meals and snacks you all dropped off. Our mayor and council members were there for us when we needed them the most, and thank you once again for that. I have traveled across remote areas across the world. I served missions in Puerto Rico during that destructive hurricane. I served the U.S. Virgin Islands for medical missions there as well, along with the wildfires in California. I also traveled to the country of Turkey, fighting for religious beliefs and freedom. Many of us do not have those freedoms in other parts of the world. We should be grateful that we're able to get here together today and speak amongst each other as adults, as mature people, to express our feelings and beliefs. That's what makes this country so great. Along with Mayor Spano and coordination with the AFIA Foundation, we were able to send baby formula, insulin, antibiotics to the catastrophic hit areas. We helped make a difference. And to this day, we still get emails and thank you cards from families from Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, from the wildfire victims in California, and to all the people that are still fighting for religious freedom in Turkey. My family comes from Jordan. I'm born and raised here in Yonkers. I travel back frequently. The country of Jordan has a monarchy. The king says and does what he likes. No one really challenges that. Unlike our democracy here, there's council members that stand up for what we as citizens feel needs to be brought to attention across the City Hall. I'll be done in about 30 seconds. We are not forcing or telling Yonkers to extend. They still must go through an elective process. An election still takes place. If there are leaders out there that want to run for office, so get up and run for office. I like our leadership. Our leadership wants to run again. I'm for it. But you still have to go through an elective process.
Yes.
During this time, with all these great things happening across Yonkers, I'll be done in 10 seconds. I'm almost done. During this time, with all the great things happening across Yonkers, I am for extending term limits. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Followed by Larry Wilson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cristina Santos Marcos, and I'm the president of the Portuguese American Community Center here in Yonkers, representing our community. Boa noite. Aside of all the great things our mayor has done for our city, Mike has shown tremendous support for our community. He respects and supports our heritage, traditions, and culture. Although he has a very busy schedule, he always takes the time to show up at our events. I admire his strong family values. Thank you, Mike, for your good friendship, support, and great mayor. With that, let's keep Yonkers strong. The city has seen tremendous progress under the existing leadership of Mayor Mike Spano and our council members. For this reason, I believe and I ask everyone to support Mike Spano's run for mayor once again. Thank you.
Larry Wilson, followed by Reggie Cruz. Larry Wilson. Reggie Cruz. John McLean. Is this thing on? John McLean.
As a resident of the city of Yonkers, I'm urging you to vote in favor of extending term limits. Residents like myself still hold the key to anyone seeking another term, their vote. The city of Yonkers has seen tremendous progress under the leadership of Mayor Mike Spano and our city council, even during a pandemic. I think we should give him and them another opportunity to continue progress. Thank you.
Roberto Esperedo. Roberto. Followed by Carolyn Stern.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. You know, after everyone spoke, I really don't know what to say. But anyways, so 2022, beginning of 2022, there was a big list of people running for mayor. And me personally, I've been so carefully who to vote for mayor for the city of Yonkers. So I kind of like I saw the list and there's no time. Guys, there is no time to choose a new mayor. The city of Yonkers is going through a good direction. Just look around, all the development that's happening. Everything is good in Yonkers, so therefore I support the term limits. Thank you.
Followed by, I've just been made aware that Larry Wilson is actually.
So first, I just wanted to thank all of you. This is amazing that we're all together. We may not agree exactly.
Carolyn, can you please speak into the microphone?
I'm doing that now. Okay, my name is Caroline Stern, and I live in Southwest Yonkers, and I think an open discussion about term limits is a good thing. What's happening here is not an open discussion. I am shocked about the vote that you're taking tomorrow. Your timing is horrible. This is a holiday week, and you have left us less than a week to prepare. This is something you should have brought up months ago. Regardless of what has brought on this hasty decision, the action of some of you that you're contemplating is one that draws serious questions about your motivation. We have been here before. In 2018, the same action was similarly railroaded through council, allowing only minimal input from Yonkers electorate. I was caught off guard then by the flagrant disregard for process in 2018, and to repeat it now is just plain craven. Unfortunately, I'm left with the conclusion that those of you voting yes will be doing so not as public servants, but for personal gain. What will your resumes look like in the coming year? I've heard some disturbing rumors about what may be happening for the next step to some of you queued up to vote yes for tomorrow. It makes me sick to have to insinuate this, but you got to understand where I'm coming from. In 2018, it's done.
That's a liar.
Let's assume that your vote is not based on quid pro quo, but know that what I saw last time was left disillusioned and untrusting. Will your story be the same as what it was in 2018 when then Majority Leader Michael Sabatino steamrolled the process to overturn the people's will, while assuring me he had nothing to gain from that vote? But how am I to believe him since he left the council and became a full-time city employee, basically doubling his salary? This is the only personnel issue that astounded me. In 2018, in the process of collecting signatures for petitions, I met numbers of people who said they feared for their jobs if they signed. These conversations chills me today. I know you're going to hear a lot of passionate voices this evening and tomorrow. I hope you'll take time to reflect on the scale and implications of your decision. An open discussion about term limits is a good thing, but cutting voters out of the conversation and you're voting yes tomorrow means that you're proceeding along a dangerous, anti-democratic path. Restore my faith in government and vote this measure down.
Honorable Council Member, Honorable City Council President, my name is Larry Wilson. I'm President of the Hyatt Association of Southeast Yonkers. My comments tonight are my own, and they do not reflect those of the Hyatt Association necessarily. So, I'm here to tell you that I support the extension of term limits. But I'll tell you one thing, okay? Everyone has a horse in this race. Everyone has something to gain or something to lose. I want to put all that aside, okay? I want to talk about what's important. Potholes, the police department. You know, what happened? What happened? How does the city actually run? Okay? So you have an accomplished mayor He's been here, you know, all this time. He's experienced. He has experience in the state legislature. He was an assemblyman, okay? You look, we have a relatively safe city. Statistics show that Yonkers, for its size, is a safe city. We have schools that have problems, clearly, no doubt about it, but I feel we're going in a direction with the schools. I feel that, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, but it will get better, let me put it that way. I believe that the city of Yonkers has great commissioners, and that's really a reflection on the mayor, okay? We have accomplished professionals. The city is stable. So, you know, again, I look around, and I know there's a lot of talent here on the city council. And if anyone here wants to run for mayor, I'm sure that the time will come. But the stakes are too high for Yonkers now. Okay, we have a mayor that's doing a good job, so I would urge you to vote to extend term limits. Thank you very much.
Followed by Hussein Rababa.
First of all, good evening, and thank you, City Council, for allowing the people to speak tonight. Thank you very much for that. My name is Sabeda Cruz, and I am a longtime resident of the city of Yonkers. I am here in support of amending the charter to extend the term limits for an additional term. Our mayor, Michael Spano, has done a phenomenal job in expanding economic development for our community, people of color. Providing additional housing for the residents of the city of Yonkers as it grows. He has the energy and the love and the passion for our city to continue to grow. Allowing an additional term would be good for the city, and I am sure that the thousands of people that are not here tonight will speak up on election day. Let's let that happen.
Thank you. Hussein Rababa, followed by Gerald Cohen. Hussein. Hussein, Gerald.
Good evening. Gerald Cohen. I'm a Yonkers resident for almost 30 years and a district leader in Ward 4. I'm speaking to strongly oppose the passage of the term limit extension. Many people tonight have spoken about the wonderful job that Mayor Spano is doing. This is not a question of whether he is a good mayor. This is not the point. This is not a question of whether term limits are a good policy or not. This is rather about the process that's happening this week, the council's lack of respect for the proper process, and the way that this change in term limits is being pushed through quickly in a holiday week with no chance to discuss, and certainly no opportunity for the people of Yonkers to vote directly on the issue as they should be able to. As you well know, term limits were passed in 1994 by a referendum of Yonkers voters. An attempt to remove term limits was voted on in another referendum, which failed in 2001. The voters spoke, and term limits were kept. Then 4 years ago, the mayor and a portion of the council, some of you here, decided they wanted to extend the term of office, both for themselves and the mayor, and push this through the council. Just a few people making the decision that it should have been made by the majority of tens of thousands of voters. What a disrespect to the citizens of our city. The case then was made that Westchester County officials have a term limit of 12 years. Though of course not the county executive, it was 8 years. Many of us tried to protest this 4 years ago in a scene almost exactly to this evening, but to no avail. So now, 4 years later, you have the chutzpah to do exactly the same thing. To pull exactly the same trick, but this time with no basis to do it. No justification of anyone else in Westchester having this period of 4 terms of 16 years. And we then do it again in 4 years to bring it to 20 years. Why not bring this to the voters of Yonkers, rather than the council voting the mayor and yourselves to stay in power, a clear conflict of interest? Because you're afraid it will fail again if it goes to the voters? It is such a brazen and undemocratic grab for power to keep that power at all costs. And it looks like it will succeed. You're grabbing for power. It looks like it will indeed succeed. But just because it succeeds does not make it right. Just because you win does not show that you respect the people of this city. Members of the city council, please do what is right. Please do what respects us as voters, the people of Yonkers. That is your choice to make. Thank you.
The next speaker is Alice Basman, followed by Donald Leverett. Folks, please pay attention to listen for your name so that you can line up and be prepared to speak. We have a lot of speakers here this evening. We do have to move things along. And again, try to keep it within the 2-minute period. And try to have your comments wrapped up by that time. Thank you. So again, the next speaker is Alice Basman, followed by Donald Leverett.
Good evening. I'm just here to represent all the seniors because the seniors are very happy with Mayor Spano, and I think he's done a real good job for most of us at least. But I think the council does a real good job also. So I just came to say I feel that you should keep Mayor Spano.
To be followed by Elizabeth Debethune.
Oh, sorry. Good afternoon. My name is Donald Leverett. I am a Yonkers resident. In the past several years, the city has gone through 9 digits worth of debt and budget surplus. It almost had a junk bond rating to one of the highest possible bond ratings from Moody. The city has also encouraged $5 billion in investment and is now being the Hollywood of the Hudson. At the same time, Yonkers is moving ahead through their Project Y with internet access and refurbished numerous parks, and also did a lot of housing, including affordable housing. And I think that we should have the city council and encourage this movement. If people don't want the city council or the mayor, and they have the opportunity to vote them out, but to discourage it to not happen, I think that's a bigger thing to democracy. So, I'm supportive of it. Thank you.
Elizabeth, followed by Chloe Basler.
Hi, folks. Hello to the City Council. My name is Elizabeth Debethune. I'm a 27-year resident of Yonkers. I live here with my spouse, and we've raised our daughter here. She's gone to the Yonkers Public Schools. We've been involved in Yonkers civic life through YPRC, Ludlow Park Residents Association, the YMA Blue Door Gallery, and many, many other organizations. I am a Ward 4 district leader as well. We've also been instrumental in starting NYCD 16 Indivisible. Yonkers is a remarkable city. It's very welcoming to the LGBTQ community. It's richly diverse. It's full of opportunity and beauty. It deserves a city government that listens to its people. The Declaration of Independence states that the authority to govern should be derived from the consent of the people. In the United States, citizens give their consent by voting. The citizens of Yonkers voted in 1994 and in 2001 to limit terms for the mayor and the city council to 2 terms. In 2018, the Yonkers City Council, at the behest of the mayor, voted to override the consent of the people of Yonkers and vote themselves a 3rd term, and him. 4 years later, they plan to do this again. We in this country have been under threat of autocracy for the last 6 years. Rules of law have been defied by those in power, and during the last 2 elections, we have seen all manner of attacks on our democratic process for voting. It is chilling to think that the Yonkers government would reflect this autocratic trend by dismissing the voice of the people of Yonkers so easily. We need to submit the question of term limits to the people of Yonkers in the form of a referendum. Thank you.
Followed by Cherry Ortilla. Next speaker will be Cherry Ortilla.
Good evening, council members and citizens of Yonkers. My name is Chloe Vasquez. I am 16 years old, born and raised in the city of Yonkers, and a student in the Yonkers Public School systems. I am not yet of age to vote, but I overhear my family members speaking of the growth in the city of Yonkers. I ask everyone to recognize a leader who has continued to work towards the excellency and adapted in trying times of the COVID-19 pandemic. As a young Latina girl growing up in the city, I've seen a community of kindness, dedication, and diversity. A city with elected officials from different backgrounds, politically and ethnically. I've witnessed my friends partake in peaceful protests, many of which were supported and publicized by the city. My great-grandmother used to write to members of the Spano family when she needed assistance, despite being from different political backgrounds, and was always helped. I have on multiple occasions been at school events where our mayor has not only shown up, but spoken to student body and staff. Many students in our school system know Mike Spano to be active in the schools. I am personally someone who likes to keep up with the news and upcoming events or projects. As an aspiring actress, I am delighted to see the mayor brought Lionsgate to the city. I have seen Yonkers in backgrounds in my favorite TV shows and movies due to their hosting of production crews. Learning about the city before our mayor, I learned about the subprime mortgage lending crisis of 2007 to 2010, which threatened to bankrupt our city. Our mayor, who was first elected in 2012, dealt with the after effects and brought the city back to financial stability. He did this by harnessing his ability to network, bringing powerful leadership into Yonkers. Our beautiful city is, from what I've seen, Our city is beautiful from what I've seen. There are no abandoned buildings in Yonkers, which I know is good for our city's tax roll funding. Our city has a gorgeous square and the most amazing riverfront, with new parks coming in and beautiful buildings lining our city. Mike Spano has appointed the best leaders in public works and in parks, keeping our city clean and our community united. Our city is one of the safest places to live for its size. Our mayor appoints the best commissioners in the areas of fire and police. The fire department and police department do the protection of our city. Extending term limits for this mayor is like telling Aaron Judge to keep hitting home runs. Mayor Mike Spano has the best interest of Yonkers in his heart. Mike Spano is dedicated to public service in our city and adhering to the best interest of over 200,000 citizens. Regardless of extending the term limits, our democracy remains intact, and our Yonkers citizens reserve the right to vote for whoever we please. Thank you for your time.
For change. Time for change. This is a democracy, not a monarch. The Spano family are not the Windsor. We get it, and we understand that your interest in voting for another term is financial, career. Shanae, John Rubo, Mike Green, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy. All right, Tasha Diaz, you killed the housing ordinance. We are in a housing crisis here in the city of Yonkers. Many blacks and Latinos are getting kicked out because their rents are going up. But you guys don't care about that. You guys think it's so great. You think luxury developments are going to help blacks and Latinos here who are impoverished? 77% of our student body is impoverished, living at or below the poverty line. What have you done for that? You brought in luxury development, but that's not for the people. That's not for the people. The average person in Yonkers makes $35,000 a year. The average rent for one of these studios is $36,000 a year. Where does that make sense? Who are you bringing these apartments for? It's not for the people here. And I get why everybody here is booing me, because they have a financial interest. You guys will not lose your job. Don't worry. When the new mayor comes in, you guys will lose your job. But do the right thing, because Gio told you to come out here, right? How many people, why would you want to have to come out here because Gio told you to? Huh? Why? Gio, 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 Gio. That's right. You guys don't want to be here. You want to be home with your families, I'm sure. But Gio's going to sit you guys down. You folks in the back, I don't really care what you got to say because you don't represent the people. You represent yourselves. And we are the people. And the people will come out and vote. Because we know you're going to pass it. We already know that. We didn't come here to stop you. We came here to let you know that we don't agree with it. And that next year, we are going to come out and vote. And we're going to make sure that we vote you guys up out of here. Thank you very much. I'm Freddie Vasquez. In case you didn't know, based in politics, come and watch it. You can boo me all you want. But at the end of the day, we're going to see what's going to happen.
The next speaker is John Fallon.
Now make sure you run out like you always do. Get back to your posture. Run out like you always do. Bring it up to the grand closure.
Folks, we have a list of people that signed up in a particular order. We will cut the mics again if someone steps up and is not signed up in their order. So we follow, you talk about wanting to be adults here. Let's follow the rules that are in place, because this auditorium is full of people who want to express themselves, like this gentleman just did, although he did so out of order. So if we have that again, we're not going to allow this to go on. Okay. So the next speaker is John Fallon. Be considered to John just as those who listened to the previous speakers. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Fallon. Born and raised in Yonkers, St. Peter's School, St. Joseph's Hospital. I'm representing today the Irish immigrants. I'm first generation, South Yonkers, grew up, came here in 1969. In no time in my life has Yonkers ever got to the place that they're at now. So I'm here to support term extensions for Everyone is allowed to have the opportunity to speak, and I think this is democracy in action. You're having an opportunity, but you got to use the rules as provided for. If you're supporting it, so be it. Say as much. As a business person, I have purposely represented people in Yonkers, buying houses, selling houses. Real estate in Yonkers over the last 20 years has gone in places that it never was when we were growing up. In these last 12 years, it's going even further. The dreams, like an Irish family with immigrants who came here in the 50s in the Bronx, they moved up to Yonkers because that was a step up. That same patriarch of our family is still a superintendent in an apartment in Yonkers, and he's 87 years old. We give opportunities to people who want opportunities to be able to step up. Being able to be respectful to anybody who speaks against it, it doesn't mean that you can't have your voices, but there's a way of doing it. And with that, I'm going to end quickly. Thank you very much for your time.
The next speaker is Frank Coleman, followed by Kevin McGill.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cherry Ortilan, Yonkers resident for more than 2 decades. I'm in full support extending the term limits for the mayor. His leadership has been proven in the past years. He always ensures that our city and neighborhoods are safe. This is highly important to me because I have 3 children who go in and out to the community, and with the mayor's leadership, I am confident that they are safe. I was a New York City resident and moved to Yonkers in 2001, and this is a city that welcomes and embraces diversity and immigrants like me, and I have been successful ever since. Thank you, Mayor Spano, for keeping us safe.
Frank Coleman. Frank Coleman will be followed by Kevin McGill.
I'm not only a citizen of this community, I'm also president of the Yonkers NAACP, and I'm pastor of the Messiah Baptist Church here in Yonkers. I am wholeheartedly against this second attempt for extended term limits. Within 4 years, the Yonkers City Council, along with the mayor's executive authority, have decided to waive the rights of the citizens of Yonkers to utilize their own authority to extend terms of service, though they are an elected body. I am in support of Yonkers residents being allowed to decide yea or nay with a public referendum on the June 2023 ballot concerning this matter. For this is supposed to be a democracy, not a monarchy, which you all will be guilty of if you allow this to happen again. Finally, as pastor of Messiah Baptist Church, the Mother Black Baptist Church in Yonkers and Westchester County, hearing and seeing shirts to prove it, that you, along with the mayor, desire and deserve 4 more years to finish the work that you've started. It's frightening. Why? Because when I got here, Yonkers was 23% black. As members have shared with me, the council, and present council included, and this administration have done such a good job of building luxury rather than affordability, while not properly addressing the residential challenges of our community. Not to mention having one of the highest rates of poverty in Westchester, our black citizens, including some members of Messiah, have had to sadly leave their homeland of Yonkers and move elsewhere, to the point that we are now a mere 18% Yonkers residency. So don't let the slickery fool you. Four more years of continuing this work, to me and my constituency and my members, is frightening. And lastly, I pray, hear me good, I pray that some of the retaliatory practices I've experienced won't kick in this time just because I spoke.
Kevin McGill. Followed by Phil Zizzo.
Good evening, council. Good evening, everyone. So, I'm a 30-year resident of Yonkers, and I'm well-respected, well-known in Yonkers. And in the 12 years that I've, watched this administration, led by Mike Spano, I've witnessed some advancements in affordable housing. People say, oh, it's about gentrification and all that other stuff. Move to Newburgh, then you'll be back. But anyway, I've witnessed so many campaign promises come to fruition. People promise you things when they're on a soapbox, but when they get in office, I haven't seen that since I've been here, right? In Yonkers, we're special. Our city council and mayor consistently work together in a bipartisan manner. That doesn't happen in every city, right? But it happens in Yonkers. So let's decide and have the option to keep the city council members and Mayor Spano in office for another 4 years. A lot of you are going to disagree with me. That's fine, right? And I like the fact that, you know, in the 12 years I've seen advancements. Like, where else do we have Lionsgate? That's going to bring so much money and affordable jobs and things like that. Education too. I mean, it's diversified. I came from Harlem to here, and it was an eye-opener. I said, this is a place I want to land. This is a place where, you know, I've you know, furthered my education and things like that. And it's working with people like you. So we can disagree to, we can agree to disagree. I'm with you guys. Another 4 years.
Yeah.
Bill Zisman, followed by Eduardo Laguerro. Now, folks, I may mispronounce your name, so please, when you step up to the podium, pronounce your name properly. Thank you.
Good evening, and it's good to be before the City Council once again. My name is Phil Zisman. I'm a former city official. I was the Corporation Counsel in the 90s, and I was the first Inspector General of the City of Yonkers. And some of you I've worked with, but there's been change. In fact, actually, Councilmember Cuco, I'm not sure you were on the council yet before I left. And change is healthy. Change is good. We are a democracy, and we need to have the orderly transfer of elected officials, because you know what? We're all replaceable. Now, I was involved in Yonkers politics when the term limits were first adopted by the people twice. And we had two mayors who respected those term limits. That was Mayor Spencer and Mayor Amico. Right? They were both wanted to be extended their terms, but they respected the people. What happened here was when Mayor Bloomberg found a loophole in New York City, Yonkers glommed on, and the City Council in 2018 passed a similar resolution. Again, very quickly, by surprise, and now you're doing it again. And to me, not only is it disheartening, but it's disrespectful. I just want to talk to you personally for a minute. You know, we have a system of checks and balances. And in that checks and balances, the legislature has to work with the executive when it's appropriate, but they have to respect the democratic process. And here, think about your conflict of interest. It's supposed to be serving the interests of the people of Yonkers, not your self-interest for being able to run again for third term. Really, you have a very important institutional role to play. And that role is to enforce the law as it is now on the books, and not think about, well, if I change it because I have this power, or we found this loophole, it will help me. Think about that. I will not put the rest of the talk to that.
Eduardo, followed by Reverend Kenneth Whitney.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Eduardo Laguerre. I am most pleased to share with you that I am very happy to have raised my 3 children in the city of Yonkers. I've been living in the city of Yonkers for 33 years. For the past 19 years, I've been involved working very hard in trying to improve the quality of education of our children in our city. I founded the Charter School of Educational Excellence 19 years ago. The school was recognized as one of the highest performing schools in the state. And I'm happy to say that with the support of the mayor and the members of the city council, we've been able to expand our building and create a quality educational program for our children. Without the support of the mayor, I am pretty sure we would not have been able to raise the money that it took to build this building, and we've been able to do it without any support from the city council. It's through the help of parents that we've been able to do, and I speak basically on behalf of all those parents that we have in our school. I am strongly support, the extension of what's good. And you guys have done an amazing job here in the city. The mayor has done an amazing job. The mayor is a leader in the world of education. We support him as educators, and I strongly encourage you to extend this wonderful city. Why don't we just let the people decide for themselves at the polls? If they are not interested, whenever it's at the ballot, then they can vote them down. But for now, they're doing an amazing job, and I strongly encourage that the term limits be extended. Thank you.
Reverend Whitney. Reverend Kenneth Whitney. O.B. Rodriguez.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for having us here. Good evening, everybody. Now, change is good, but there is another old saying that says, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Exactly. I moved to Yonkers December 31st, 1969, at the end of Mr. Work, at the beginning of Mr. Develop. I wrote a piece of paper like everybody, but you cannot be passionate. You cannot be passionate and tell the truth if you don't know the truth. I went through that process from 1970 until 12 years ago. Now let me tell you something, it was crisis after crisis, a corruption to the point that the state sent, a board, an emergency board, took out our finances in 1988. That was like an earthquake. There used to be a guy named here, John Sekian, that used to say that Yonkers was always teetering on crisis, and he was right. Now, let me tell you something. Now, somebody said here that Spencer was honorable about term limits. No, that's a lie. Spencer took a guy named Fernando Fuentes, and he was como, with a chicken with no head, telling all of us, to vote to have Spencer one more time. We didn't have Selesky in 1994 because we despised him. And we didn't have Spencer in 2001 because we despised him more because this city was his playground. Now, I went through all of that. Okay? I didn't even vote. And I was always in City Hall insulting my councilman, insulting everybody because I was unhappy. Finally, I can say we have here a group of people that are honorable. Our politicians today are better. Okay? Our politicians today are better. Now, let me tell you something. Okay, democracy. Everybody's talking here like they're going to be anointed in the next election. No, they're going to have opposite. They're going to have people to oppose them.
Mr. Rodriguez, if you could just type your comments, please.
Okay. You want me to finish? Well, let me tell you something. In the past 12 years, you found scandals, you found crisis, and you find the Board of Education always begging for money like it was in those years previous to that. You tell me. You answer that. Because nobody here knew that nobody lived that like I lived it. So, you deserve another chance. And so is our mayor. Okay? Democracy.
Enforcing this 2-minute rule, we need you to listen for your name. If you're in the house, step up close to the microphone and be in line to speak. We have a lot of speakers to get through this evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, council members. Good evening, everyone. This one?
Yeah.
That one? Okay. Good evening. I'm reading this statement on behalf of all village public and myself. My name is Doris Miranda Pemberton. Both of us are members of community voices heard for many years. And as members of this Yonkers community, we do not believe that a decision whether the mayor should be allowed to run for office a fourth term is contingent on the city council. The city charter says that the mayor serves 8 consecutive years. However, there may be a break of 4 years before running again. In those 8 years, we entrust the city council to run the city's finances. But thanks to this city council, the mayor is now serving 12 consecutive years, and we are here tonight while the city council tries to make the decision of a fourth term, which would make it a 16 consecutive years. Haven't we seen this before? The city council is overstepping their authority. This vote should have been put on the ballot election day, November 3rd, but that decision was purposely ignored. Once again, this is not a decision for the city council, but should be put on the ballot as to whether the mayor should be in restricted term limits, which is already stipulated in the city charter that the mayor's service is not to exceed 8 consecutive years at a time. Thank you.
Hussein Rababa, followed by Rick Rosenspire.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hussein Rababa, and I'm here to represent the Muslim community. The Muslim community support the extension for Mayor Spano, and they all want another 4 more years. And the reason behind that, I moved to Yonkers 20 years ago, and I raised 5 kids here. When I look at the city surrounding us, Yonkers is so diversified. There is 60 languages spoken in Yonkers. And the reason for that, because people like me who immigrate from a different country feel this is home. And feel that they could raise their kids in a safe place and get the best education in New York State. Plus, somebody like me work with the city, with the mayor of the city of Yonkers, and all of you, Shanae William, John Robo, Mike Green, Lakeisha, Tasha, and Corazon Vaneda, and Anthony Miranda. For the first time in the history of Yonkers, Muslim community under the leadership of Mike Spano is able to celebrate their holiday. This was not possible before Mayor Spano took office. With that, I'm going to finish, and I'm going to ask all of you to support another term for Mayor Mike Spano. Thank you.
Rosenspire, followed by Ramona Terrero.
I want to thank the City Council and the members of this audience. I've lived here for 7 years now. My name is Rick Rosenspire. I'm currently retired. One of the things that I feel that this administration has brought to the city, aside from the housing development and the billions and billions of dollars that's coming here, is close to $1.5 billion in the investment in the motion picture industry, turning the city into Hollywood on the Hudson. The economic benefits that will stretch across the entire population. This is the 3rd largest city in the state of New York. This is one of 140 cities over 200,000 in the entire United States. One of the safest cities in the entire country, believe it or not. The economic development, I believe and I feel, has been sponsored by this administration currently. They lost 2.5 years due to the outbreak of COVID. And I think the term limits need to be extended to allow this economic development of this great city to continue. Thank you very much.